and they get told, wow, your villi is perfect. You're healed. You're fine. You can go back to eating gluten and be on your merry way, because that is not true.
Welcome to the Healthy Celiac Show. I'm your host, Belinda Whelan from belindawhelan.com, and here you will learn to live your very best life with celiac disease. So we are going to be talking all about health-related topics because you, my friend, are more than just a woman with celiac disease. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode, and welcome to the show.
Welcome back to the Healthy Celiac podcast. This week I am talking about the top 10 myths about celiac disease, and we're going to bust those myths for you. So let's start with number one. So the first one that I've got for you is celiac disease is an allergy to gluten. Now, this is not entirely true because celiac disease is actually an autoimmune disease and it's not an allergy. So you'll actually hear people with celiac disease refer to their autoimmune disease as an allergy. And I do believe that some people find it easier to refer to it as an allergy because, as you may know, people with peanut allergies, when people say they have a peanut allergy, people are super precautious and will ensure that that person doesn't have peanuts because it can actually kill them. It can give them an anaphylactic attack. So some people say that they have celiac disease and that they have an allergy to gluten and they mustn't eat any gluten for this reason because it does scare some people and they can be extra cautious. Unfortunately, we need to educate people and let them know that it's much more severe than just an allergy because as we know, allergies are severe. I'm not downplaying allergies at all, but gluten does so much damage to someone with celiac disease because it actually slowly kills us if we continue to have it. So it's not an allergy, it's an autoimmune disease. All right, number two, a small amount of gluten won't hurt someone with celiac disease. You've heard me talk about this in a few other episodes, and I like to call BS on this one. Absolutely not true. Even if you don't get a reaction to a small amount of gluten, it's still doing damage to the inside of your body. Many people have celiac disease and don't even know that they've got it. They get diagnosed as a fluke, but all this time their body's still being damaged even though they haven't ever noticed those symptoms. So a small amount can do a lot of damage. And there's studies now that show that a tiny, tiny bit of bread can do such an astronomical amount of damage to your intestine that it is definitely not worth it. So we need to let people know that this is absolutely not true. Number three, living with celiac disease only requires that you eat gluten-free. We wish, right? If only it was that easy. It's not just a matter of eating gluten-free. We also have to make sure that there's no cross-contact or cross-contamination going on with our food. We have to make sure that people aren't using the same chopping boards as us. We have to make sure that when we eat out that our food is prepped celiac safe, that people aren't using the same deep fryers as what they would with gluten food. There's so much more to it. It even means that there's other foods that can react to us. So, for example, myself, I'm also lactose intolerant, and I only found that out about a year ago. And I think I've been struggling with that for a bit longer than I would like to admit. So our bodies need more than just eating gluten-free. We need more sleep than most people. We need to advocate for ourselves more than most people. So it's not just eating gluten-free. All right, number four, you'll lose weight once you go gluten-free. No, not entirely true either. For me, I put on weight, thank goodness. I was actually grateful that I put on weight. Some people complain about it and some people absolutely love it, because what happens is when we first find out that we have celiac disease, either we've been dealing with the symptoms for a very, very long time and our body hasn't been taking in all the nutrients that our body needs and we become malnourished. So then when we start to eat healthy gluten-free foods, doesn't even have to be healthy, rather, it could just be we change to a gluten-free diet. What happens is our body starts to heal and it starts to absorb those nutrients, because the villi, the damaged villi in your small intestine, weren't actually absorbing those nutrients. Everything was passing through you and you weren't absorbing the goodness from your food. So when you go gluten-free, your body heals and you can now absorb the nutrients. So many people find that they then become their ideal perfect weight, and many people find that they actually put on weight. And this can be due to a number of situations and circumstances. One of those being a lot of gluten-free packaged food is full of sugar and fat. So if you're relying on gluten-free packaged food, then that could be why you're putting on that extra weight that you don't want to. And I'm going to cover this in another episode because I feel that it's something that strongly needs some shared information about. So I do want to talk about that in a further episode. So let's bust that one right out the water. Not everyone will lose weight. Some people will and some people won't, but it's not a definite because, as you may know by now, not all gluten-free food is healthy. Many of the gluten-free packaged foods are high in sugar, high in fat, like I mentioned. So it depends which way you go with gluten-free food, whether you go gluten-free natural foods, gluten-free whole foods, or whether you go down that packaged route. So we'll discuss that further in another episode. Number 5, you can outgrow or heal from celiac disease. We wish, right? Another one, we wish. Not a chance. There are doctors that, even to this day, are saying that you can heal from celiac disease. And this is scary because it's not true. There is no known cure for celiac disease. So there is no way anybody should be sharing that misinformation because it is not true. And it's scary that people are being diagnosed with celiac disease. They go out, they eat gluten-free, they do all the right thing, they go up back for their follow-up tests with their doctor or their primary caregiver or their gastroenterologist, and they get told, wow, your villi is perfect, you're healed, you're fine, you can go back to eating gluten and be on your merry way, because that is not true. Because the thing is, when you have celiac disease, you have to eat gluten-free so that your villi is no longer damaged. Not that it heals you. It's not healing you. It's making your body react in the way that you need it to. But the celiac disease is always going to be there until they find a cure, if they ever do. So we definitely can bust that one out of the water. You cannot heal from celiac disease, and you can't outgrow it either. So many, many years ago, there was a doctor that wrote a paper on celiac disease, and he prescribed a banana diet. I don't know if you've heard about this, but he basically had a lot of children that would be under his care, and he prescribed this banana diet. And it's basically a diet of no gluten, funnily enough, and all these children miraculously felt better on his banana diet. So he claimed that he'd cured these children. And lo and behold, no, they weren't cured. They just felt better because they weren't eating gluten. So you can't outgrow it. You can't heal from it. It's one of those things that we are stuck with, and we need to do the right thing for our body. We have to eat gluten-free 100% until there is a cure. So let's bust that one out of the water as well. All right, number 6, celiac disease is rare. How many people do you know with celiac disease? I personally know quite a few, and it's not because I'm a health coach and because I work with people that have celiac disease. There's quite a few people in my family that have celiac disease, and I know friends that have got it. I know friends' children that have got it. So even if you're the only person that has got celiac disease, it's around 1 in 100 globally that have got celiac disease. So you are not rare. You are not the odd one out. You go visit in a restaurant or a cafe, you're not the first person to have asked if something is gluten-free and celiac safe. Okay, so it is not a rare autoimmune disease. It's common, and because of the way that people are begetting, that's not even a word. What is that? Oh my God. Becoming is what I meant to say. Becoming more aware of celiac disease, it's getting more and more diagnosed. So it's nothing to do with more people are getting it. It's because more people are getting diagnosed that it seems like more and more people are getting it. So you are not dealing with this rare autoimmune disease. All right, number 7. Once you go gluten-free, you'll feel better. No, again, another lie, another myth, because it's not that easy. You can't just eat gluten-free and all of a sudden you feel better. When I was first diagnosed with celiac disease, within the first week of cutting out gluten, I felt so much better. I mean, I felt amazing. I felt so much better than I had in such a long time, but I still wasn't the best that I could be. There were still things that weren't, reacting well in my body. For example, you might have heard me talk about this before. Brown rice made me feel like I'd been glutened. So I was eating brown rice because, that's the healthy option when you eat rice. You don't eat white rice, do you? You eat brown rice because, we get banged on that that's the healthiest option. But when I'd eat brown rice, I felt like I'd been glutened. And I still felt tired all the time. I still got bloated. There were still so many reactions that I would have to different food because my body was still healing and it was still taking this time to feel better. So it's definitely not true that we feel 100% better straight after we go gluten-free. It takes time. So if you've been told that you will feel better as soon as you cut out gluten, please know you're not alone, that it's not, you're not the only one that thinks, oh wow, I've gone gluten-free and I still feel like rubbish. That's not true. That is not how we should be taught. We need to be told the truth and that there's more to it than just going gluten-free. All right, number 8. You must not touch gluten. Well, this is another one that is not true as well. As long as you are touching gluten and you're washing your hands and you don't have an actual allergy to touching gluten. So some people are actually very allergic to touching gluten. That is different to having celiac disease. That's another issue altogether. So I have been making my daughter jam sandwiches for lunch every single day for the past, not since she was in kindy, because she's making her own lunch the last few years, but let's just say from about the age of 4 to about the age of maybe 12, I was making her a jam sandwich every day. That's all she ever wanted for school. And I would touch that bread and I would clean up the mess, and I never had a reaction to it and never got gluten from it. So you can touch gluten as long as you clean up the mess and you don't have an allergy from touching it. So some people can touch it, some people can't, but it is not a 100% you have to, keep away from it. You can still touch it and be fine as long as you're not putting your fingers in your mouth and you're washing your hands afterwards. All right, let's move on to number 9. So number 9, celiac disease is a digestive order. I don't like this one because it's not true. I don't know about you, but I had way more symptoms than just digestive issues. I had way more symptoms than just what was going on in my gut. I had way more than bloating and diarrhea. I had achy joints. I had brain fog. I had all of these other symptoms that weren't just digestive. And as you may know, there's at least 200 different symptoms of celiac disease. So there's no way that it can just be called a digestive disorder. Some people don't even get those reactions. Some people can eat gluten and they don't even react within their gut whatsoever. They don't even realize they'll get other issues within their body, and that's what tells them that they've accidentally consumed gluten. So it isn't just a digestive disorder. All right, number 10, the last one for this week's show. Reactions to gluten are immediate. I don't know about you, but I don't react immediately. I'm probably within 30 minutes, I start to notice a reaction to when I accidentally have gluten, but it's not immediate. So back to the example when we were talking about the peanut allergy. Peanut allergy is pretty much immediate. If that person with a peanut allergy doesn't have an EpiPen with them, it's very dangerous and very scary. Whereas with us, we may need to get to a toilet within half an hour, within an hour, by the next day. We are all different, but many of us don't react immediately. And I've heard of people intentionally glutening people to test whether they were telling the truth that they had celiac disease. And pretty much called BS because they didn't get a reaction straight away. So as you may know, you don't get that reaction instantly. It's when you get home from your friend's house. It's when you get home from the restaurant. It's when you get home from eating at your family's house that you go, oh, wow, I'm not feeling the best. I feel nauseous. I feel like I'm going to be sick. And those people that have gluten you, unless you tell them, they may never know. So it's not immediate. It's not an immediate reaction that we get from eating gluten. So these are my top 10 for this week's episode, and I've got another 10 to share with you. So tune back into my next episode where I'm sharing with you another 10 myths. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and I will talk to you really soon. Take care. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, head to belindawhelan.com to get yourself a free copy of my exclusive ebook, 11 Mistakes People Make Going Gluten-Free Living with Celiac Disease.